Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Erica and all the other grammar instructors who might be reading this email. So, first of all, there is no silly question when it comes to grammar. Trust me, grammar is a surprisingly challenging course to teach to ESL students. There's always something going on with grammar. So you said we're working with common verbs followed by a preposition and a gerund. It appears that the book is using the verb insist with on, which makes sense. Yes, I insist on doing this correctly or whatever. You said, but it puts it in the category with of and from. So some of my students had questions about why the book has it written like this. Let's see what you have here. So, okay. It looks like you have two things here in this category. You have be tired, and then we go over here. I'm going to say, this is my best guess here, I think be tired of or be tired from. I think the word of and from are connected to tired, and since we have on, insist on doing it, I'm going to say that of and from only connect to that first area, to be tired of or be tired from, right? So to my knowledge, I have no idea how to say insist of or insist from. I don't think it's possible. So maybe the book is a little bit confusing. So just tell your students and say that of and from, it's only connected to be tired of or be tired, and then on is connected with insist. Now, one other thing that might help with the whole gerund and infinitive thing anyway, to be honest with you, when I taught level 4 grammar, I think I've taught it about 90 times over the last 15 years or so, but gerunds and infinitives are always very messy areas of grammar. I've always found it messy. I would much rather teach adjective clauses or noun clauses or something like that, because there's a predictable structure, there's some logic to it, there's some rules that you can tell students, and it's a little bit easier for everybody around. But gerunds and infinitives, if you have the Understanding and Using English Grammar by Betty Azar, you got page after page of all these verbs, and they take gerunds and they take infinitives, and you have these adjectives, and it probably gives students just nightmares at night thinking about all that stuff. But here's something that I tell my grammar students when we bring this up. I'll say something like this. I'll say gerunds and infinitives are complicated, no doubt. However, I'm going to give you a general rule that might help you about 30% of the time, and I'll explain to them what the rule is. Now, remember that students are very quick. You got to be careful of these guys. Tell them that this doesn't work all the time, but you can tell them this. You can say, if you're not sure whether a verb should be followed by a gerund or infinitive, consider these two rules. It might help you 30% of the time. Now, if you say it that way, now they're not going to throw all these exceptions in your face, because students will do that. They're pretty good at finding exceptions to the language. So here's one rule. Gerunds typically, in many cases, they talk about actual or completed actions. So if a student has no idea and the student can't remember, if the verb should introduce a gerund or an infinitive, think of it this way. So here's the example. So you might say, the movies, right here. So in this case, we have gerunds, actual or completed actions. So the example is, I enjoyed going to the movies. So it would be very odd to say, I enjoyed to go to the movies. So you can tell students that in some cases, when you're talking about actual or completed actions, it's very possible to use a gerund after those verbs. Remember, it's not going to help every time. And there's exceptions to everything I'm saying here, of course. Now, the next one is gerunds. Sometimes they discuss what's called potential events. So again, if a student is not exactly sure, whether or not to use a gerund or an infinitive, how about this? In this case, I wanted to see that movie last week. In this case, we're actually talking about something which did not happen. You kind of see that? So anyway, I hope I'm not confusing you, but that is a kind of a generalization that you can make with gerunds and infinitives. And in my opinion, it makes teaching gerunds and infinitives a lot less sticky. Of course, you still got to go through the chapter and you go through, certain verbs which take infinitives and certain verbs which take gerunds and all that. And you can have them go through those lessons and do workbook exercises and all that. But you can also tell them this. Say, if you're not sure, if you can't remember all those things in the book, then go back to these two basic rules. All right? Anyway, thank you very much.